Hello agents, and welcome back to another Division video. Today we're continuing our PvP series, and this one is just a very slight variation on the Bloodsucker build that I posted earlier last week. The variation has come from a user who actually made a comment on that video called Paradox Gaming, so shout out to them. And they mentioned swapping my mask and swapping my holster over to True Patriot. And essentially it's kept very similar damage to the previous build, but it has upped my armor. If I can see actually, so we go back down to this one. So I'll make the changes again actually live now on the video for you. So this was the Bloodsucker build, and it had 456k armor and 59k health. During the video I mentioned that I was a little bit upset with this. I would like the health for this build to be a bit better. So what we have the option of doing is we'll flick over to my True Patriot mask, and we will flick over to my True Patriot holster. And what you can see, obviously we've got about a 30k buff in armor, but the health hasn't actually gone up that much. Now if I go into this, you can see that this is because of this. And I had to roll crit hit chance on here. So essentially what we want to be doing is getting a True Patriot holster with crit chance and an actual health roll, not a percentage health roll. And then obviously we all know that that could be 40k plus on a holster, which would take my health up to 80k, which is much better, much better, especially with bleeders and things like that in the DZ and in conflict. So that's where you want to be for the holster. I'll run through the entire build now. Obviously the benefits of having this mask over, so I'll just quickly show you what I had originally. So I had the Fenris mask, there's no mod slot there. Concussion, pretty hard to proc in PvP because everyone's chicken dancing right now. So we get the benefits of an extra holster there, extra mod slot there. And obviously you want this to be as high as crit chance as possible with some health. So we'll start with the mask. High crit chance, up to around 10% I believe, and then as high health as you can there. A good assault rifle mod because we're using assault rifle with this, and that is that. We're then going to flick over to the chest piece, armor, god roll, armor roll here. Unfortunately these have not been around since very early in the game's release. There was it was actually the clan vendor was selling the 30% armor roll. We've not seen it again since. Ideally I would love this to be weapon damage, but just not had the luck with the rolls. Bloodsucker, and then some armor here and some offensive mod slot here. I could change these out. This was one of my comments that I mentioned in the previous video. I could change these armor mods out to health and buff my health that way, but essentially if you can get the right roll here, there's no need to do that. Just keep stacking the armor and get as close to that 500k mark as you possibly can. Holster we took a brief look at before, but here it is again. High crit chance. Ideally you want an actual health roll, not a percentage health roll here. And then again, assault rifle mods, whatever you've got, 5, 6, 7% in the mod slots. Backpack, we have got armor, that's what you want there, and then crit chance if possible. If for some miraculous reason you have managed to max your crit chance elsewhere, weapon damage would go here. Spark and hardened. I would have loved not to have roll hardened onto this so I could mess around with the attributes, but unfortunately again I haven't been that lucky. Yellow mod slot, so I've actually got a 7% reload speed mod now that could go into there, and then some armor for more defensive attributes. Because the yellow doesn't actually matter in this build at all. Here we've got some crit chance on the talents for the gloves, and we have got a low assault rifle roll that can be 12-13% now. 13%, if you don't know, comes from the Motherly Love gloves, so I will show you how to attain them in a second. And then again here you just want something to, in my case I've had to bump up my critical hit chance. So if we flick over to the stats very quickly, I'm only at 52%. I want it to be close to 60, but again we'll come back to that in a little bit. If you want to get the Motherly Love gloves, they're in the new field research and they are level 2. These gloves can allow you to roll 13% on any weapon type on gloves. So roll and roll and roll, get what you can, get a 13% assault rifle and roll it onto your Alps gloves over here. Knee pads, we've gone with the healer guard, essentially just because it's the most blues you're going to get in the knees, and it gives us a good chance to stack some more armour. Some 4% I've got in here and a 4.5% with some other armour. What's nice about these ones, these were vendor a couple of weeks ago, and they also had explosive resistance built in, so it gives us a bit of extra survivability against them explosive builds that are so deadly right now. And yeah, that's it for the gear. We'll go back to the weapons. So I'm using a FAMAS, and we're using Sadist because we're going to use the Bleed Seeker Mine for that extra damage. I've got Allegro and Wasclay. There's absolutely no point in here. Try and get something useful here. I needed Sadist up here, unfortunately. You could go with extra magazine size here instead of Allegro if you find you're not killing people quick enough. So, you know, whatever you prefer. But the FAMAS is pretty good, pretty best in slot I think right now for PvP. It's in a really good place. We're then using the Eagle Bearer as a secondary weapon, which is controversial, but we're using that for the protected fire talent here. So while holstered, gain 10% bonus armor while firing your weapon, and obviously in this build with having so much armor, that 10% is a great buff. And then over on the pistol, these don't matter because we're not actually using the pistol, but we wanted protected reload for the extra 10% bonus armor while reloading. And when we go back to the Eagle Bearer buff, if when reloading you don't let go of your firing button, this actually stays active, so you'll get 10% from here and 10% from here, and they stack nicely together. You'll be able to see on your life bar and on your armor bar, the blue dots. You'll see you'll get 20% rather than just 10 because they both stay active together. We'll move on then to the Seeker Mine. We're using the big boy Seeker Mine for this, essentially for the bleed damage. We can't mod it up. We don't have enough skill power to do any mods or anything like that, and we're not too fussed about how hard it hits or anything like that. We just want to get the bleed onto the other person so that Sadist on the assault rifle kicks in for the extra weapon damage. And then using the drone, and I'm using the defender drone. I tried the fixer drone. The fights are so quick. I didn't feel like it gave me any value whatsoever. So the defender drone seems to be giving me the most value. You could go with the striker drone if you wanted to make sure you've definitely got spike up for if your Seeker Mine doesn't hit. But I found that my Seeker Mine hits often enough so that I get spike up, and therefore much more value from the defender drone. Did I mention Spike on there? I can't remember if I did. Spark, sorry. There's Spark. Yeah, so Spark, we get the damage from enemies. When damaging enemies with skills or explosives gives us 15% weapon damage for 15 seconds. PvP fights are generally over in 15 seconds, so once that Seeker Mine hits, you're getting that weapon damage from there as well. So that's all the gear talked about. That's all the skills talked about. Grenade, your choice. I just go with this grenade, the fire grenade, purely because if you hit a person with it, they tend to panic even though it's not damaging them that much. Anything kind of damage over time, people tend to panic in this game, so I went with the fire grenade. Quickly we'll talk about the specialization, and the reason we're using this specialization I will show you in the menu over here. So we're using the survivalist, we'll inspect that, and this is why we're using this specialization. This actually stacks with Bloodsucker and any other kind of healing that you're going to get back. So if we take a look at this, depleting enemy's armor adds a stack of 25% bonus armor. So we actually get the buff from that then stacks on top of the survivalist buff. So if we do that here, which adds an extra 15% to it. So you start becoming pretty godly. The minute you have put somebody down and you've stripped their armor away, you start to become pretty godly. And if we look at this here, Depleting the enemy's armor adds like a 25% bonus armor for 10 seconds. Now, this is in PvE, so be careful when you look at this. If we switch the stats over, if I can remember where to do that. No. Game, you are ruining my video. There we go. So, if we switch the stats over, you can see that this is now changed. The game, it still adds 15% bonus armor, but only for 5 seconds, and the max stack is 2. So just be careful with that. It's not exactly as great as what you might think it is, but still a super strong talent in PvP. The 15%, massive chunk. And don't forget, you don't have to kill them. That's the bonus with this. You do not have to kill them. So all you have to do is strip their armor, and if the fight's becoming difficult or they've got 2 people coming at you, look at stripping the second person's armor and making yourself even more of a tank. And you hit quite hard. You still hit hard. So we'll take a look at the stats. We'll look at them in PvP mode because that's what this build is for. PvP damage is just shy of 12k. Critical hit chance, which is nice, is a good 52%. We've got 32% critical hit damage, and we've got 64% headshot damage, which is nice. We've got 29% health damage, so the minute you strip their armor, you're going to be hitting them really hard at that point. We've got no damage to elites because we're focusing on PvP. And there was some defensive traits I just wanted to show you as well. So there we go. So we've got 483k armor, which we know. Health generation, we're not so fussed about that. We've got some protection from elites, just in case you're running this in the DZ. But we've got 15% explosive resistance, which is nice. We've got 50% pulse resistance, which is nice as well, because pulse is coming back hard. It's featuring in many more builds nowadays. And we've got a small 20% on both the hazard protection and the bleed protection, which is nice. So you got a bit of protection all round, really, and the minute you've activated Bloodsucker once, you're going to be fairly tanky, you know. Don't be scared of flicking from your FAMAS to your Eagle Bearer. It's quicker, it's better, you know. Utilise both your guns. That's it for this build, guys. Thank you again for tuning in. I know it's only a slight variation on the previous ones, but I thought it was worth throwing out there. Props to the person again over on the YouTube that mentioned this change, Paradox Gaming. Big props to you. Thank you for the comments. Please comment below, guys, if you think there's a better variation of this, or if there's a better way of building the Bloodsucker build. Do let me know. You can catch me most days, including this weekend, streaming over on Twitch, twitch.tv/DJ Tickle. Please come and say hi, and subscribe if you think it was useful. Hit the like, hit the dislike. Comment below, tell me what you think, and hit the bell for notifications for when I go live with new videos. Thank you, guys, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.